Whampoa Garden, a carnival of chrome and neon, rife with every manner of technology and artifice one can imagine. The entire area has the feel of a night market, save that the chips are sold in lieu of steam buns, and vendor hawks lay latest drones rather than folk art. Something stalks these streets, hiding just out of sight. It stalks the Whampoan elders, the leaders of the band of tech-savvy squatters that have claimed this neighborhood as their own. The streets smell of ozone and fear, and those Whampoans who pass the MTR station have a haunted, furtive look in their eye. While the killer has struck only at the elders thus far, it may only be a matter of time before ordinary residents are menaced as well. The streets of Whampoa Garden are slick with rain, glittering under the neon glow of myriad signs and holographic displays. The sky reflects the same glow, painting the white apartment blocks a sickly orange of sodium streetlights. The smell of grilling meat mingles with other rarer scents, ozone, engine oil, and high-tech fabrication facilities. Despite the hour, there are plenty of people out and about. You can hear the calls of street vendors and touts, urging people into their stores. Isabel wrinkles her nose, scowling darkly. She wraps her arms tightly around her chest, staring off into the distance. Is there a word for feeling nostalgic for a place you can't wait to leave again? I don't miss this place, but I miss the feelings I had when I lived here. Saudade, maybe? Isabel shakes her head. That's not it. It's close, but she lets the sentence trail off into nothingness, clamping her mouth shut for a moment. Isabel sighs heavily. This place seemed like heaven after the walled city, like the whole world had unfurled in front of me, and anywhere I turned there was the promise of a good life. Turned out this place was just as crappy as everywhere else. Everyone was still in it for themselves. Gobbet claps a hand on Isabel's shoulder, who flinches and pulls away. That's a great life lesson, I'm serious. At the end of the day, life's a raw deal. You've got yourself and a handful of friends, and that's it. Nothing else. A curious philosophy, Gobbet. Certainly no objective meaning can be applied to the human experience, but the sum total of culture and progress since the time of Homo erectus has shown that humans are capable of self-organizing into beneficial... Boring! Gobbet makes a show of yawning very loudly towards Racer. Or Ractor. Isabel turns towards you and points down the street to your left. We're looking for the Whampoan elders. They're going to be in the Whampoa itself. That's the big shop down the street. I've seen the pictures. It looks like a yacht. Isabel nods, lips pursed. That's the one. Kinda hard to miss, and it's been a fixture since late last century. These days it's just a squat. Shops are family affairs, not corporate ones. Is there anything I should know about the Whampoans? They're all tech heads, tinkerers, and self-taught scientists. Despite the fact there's no formal education system, everyone here is pretty smart. They apprentice kids to skilled workers so they can learn a trade. Elder Gal taught me decking, and I left after she got brain-fried trying to crack a Mitsuhama network. Elder Ip taught me to shoot. He should still be there. Come on, let's go see what they have to say for themselves. Girls don't want anyone to go inside without permission. Must be pretty bad in there. I heard he's not dead. He's been all cut up. Spooky. Let's explore a bit. I don't know. I just don't feel safe out here anymore. Better find some place indoors to sleep. Yeah, the streets are dangerous lately. Alright, only way to go is the Whampoa. Let's go. Do a little explore. Okay, there's like a whole shitload of water just in the middle of the floor for no reason. Alright, I gotta talk to people. Unfortunate. This orc woman is festooned with smile circuits, tiny trid screens, and speakers. The trid screens display snippets of trid broadcast from every corner of the world. The tiny speakers play counterpoint with accessories of voices speaking Sparathiel, Punjabi, Kazakh, and other languages. Her expression is haggard, and she fidgets with her fingers as you approach. Welcome to the Whampoa, my friend. I am Elder Nick. I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it. I know it's like a name, but I can't pronounce it. And these are Elders Tang and Ip. Gestures to the elf and a human who each inclined their heads respectfully. Thanks you so much for answering a request to help. We have nowhere else to turn. As long as you can pay, I can help. Under Tang's skin, glowing tattoos writhe and change shape. Tigers become cranes and move on to dragons. We're under threat, one by one. We elders are being hunted by some monster. As you may have noticed when you arrived, there's been another killing tonight. It crosses his solid chrome arms. Holographic readouts dance constantly over their surface, displaying diagnostic information about their state, operating temperature, servo pressure, and a variety of other minutiae. He looks past you, towards Isabel. The prodigal daughter returned once more. I didn't expect to see you back after the Whampoa in my lifetime, Isabel. When you disappeared, Elder Yetunde was very put out. I'm glad you're still alive. When you chose to walk your own path, I was disappointed, but I still understood why you had to leave. It pauses, tasting the air as he chooses his next word with care. I hope my lessons have helped you prosper. Didn't expect to be back either. Work takes you places, though. Isabel shrugs. A moment later, she places a hand on her pistol, eyes trained on the Ip's shoes. I don't cart this around for fun, Ip. The lessons kept me alive. Isabel blinks several times and looks up at you, her expression clouded. Where is Yetunde, anyway? I expected her to be here. Niu shakes her head sadly. She reaches out a hand toward Isabel, who shrinks away from it. She's dead. So are Gon and Nakamura. And Tong was killed just tonight. So much blood. You have to stop this from continuing. Isabel's expression remains impassive, but her knuckles grow white as her hands ball up into fists. That's what we're here for. We'll stop the killings. Thank you, Isabel. Nia lifts a hand, wiping away tears from her eyes. What can you tell me about the murders? They started 2 weeks ago. The first to go was Gan. We found him in his apartment, eviscerated. Nia swallows, grimacing at the painful memory. He's been torn apart. His head has been ripped completely off, and most of his skin flayed away. There was so much blood it took us a week to clean out his apartment. Tang nods, running his palm over his forehead. The rest have been about the same. Always at night, always dismembered. Each scene is like a nightmare, and every time nobody has seen anything. It's like a ghost. What happened to Tong? Same thing that happened to the rest of the victims. Evisceration and dismemberment. We sent a guard to keep people out of his shop, but he'll let you in. When did he die? Sometime early tonight. He's locked off his shop, but Ip stopped by to ask him about some skill chips he had. The door was unlocked and inside. She lifts her hands helplessly. She opens her mouth, but no words come out. Seeing her inability to continue, Ip takes over. Inside looked like a bad horror sieve, just like all the other murders. It had to have happened after sundown, because I saw his shop was open when I was on my way to get some noodles for dinner. Why didn't you call the police? The Hong Kong police force isn't welcome here. They've tried to force us out several times before or come hunting for someone to pin a crime on. We do a lot of favors for local gains and triads, handle their matrix security, fix up their gear, and make sure that they have access to the Hong Kong Shadowlands hub. We're too valuable a resource for them to lose, so they protect us when the HKPF or anyone else decides we're an easy target. They handle our physical security and we make sure to send the message via the Matrix. The last time the HKPF made trouble, we started airing the assistant chief's dirty laundry over the Trid. They got the picture and backed off. So have you made any enemies lately? She shrugs helplessly. Not that I can think of. We keep to ourselves. We buy and sell technology. We're not mercenaries or criminals. We're merchants and deckers. And even if someone was cheated in a deal, this kind of response is unthinkable. Whatever did this, it wasn't human. The violence and savagery, it's a monster, whatever it is. Plenty of metahumans are monsters too. Just because it's horrible doesn't mean it's supernatural. Okay, so what do you guys do? Isabel snorts derisively. They make the rules and kick people out who don't obey them. They're a bunch of petty tyrants, that's what. You're being unfair, Isabel. Our laws are for the good of the community. Tang turns to address you. We keep the Whampoa and its residents safe. We review trade agreements with outsiders to see if they're good for the community. We provide a guiding vision, like a town council. You people are really weird. She bows her head and spreads her arms wide. Our ways may seem strange to you, but they have sustained us for many years. I do not expect you to understand. I am the invoker of spirits. I commune with the spirits of machines, ask them for blessings, and pass those blessings on to the people here. I heal the sick and ensure the feng shui of our habitats is as good as it can be, given our confines. She's a shaman, that's all. She's just got some kooky spin on it. Claims her totem is some kind of all-encompassing machine god that lives in circuitry. Isabel pats her desk, looking at her. Ancient gods and ancestors are one thing. My deck, it's mine. I built it. The only spirits that's gotten it are the ESPs I loaded up with. She gives Isabel a look of deep sadness. Just because you cannot see or touch a thing does not mean that it does not exist. Just because you do not believe in it does not mean it does not protect you from afar. I can't touch programs either, but at least I can prove they have an effect on the physical world. Your superstitions are just that. Bullshit. Isabel glances at you, jerking a thumb towards Tang. This guy treats drones like they're living things. Okay, what do you do, Tang? Tang extends his arms, palms up. As you watch, the tattoos therein shift into a complex mathematical formula. I am the first inglorious servo. I study patterns, repair machinery, and teach others how to attune themselves to the wonders of automation. The blessed Autofab is my shop and purview, where we make the drones we use and sell. Really, what a fascinating and spiritual spin on things. Ractor inclines his head toward Tang. I'd be interested in hearing more about your philosophy once we're done with the job. I think I may find your perspective to be very interesting. As for me, I serve as the resplendent voltage spike. Ip smiles crookedly. That means I shoot people who try to screw with us. It's a fancy title for head of security. That's all for now. It might be wise to ask the residents of Whampoa Garden if they've seen or heard anything after you've gone to Tong's sensory carnival. They may have seen or heard things we did not. Good to know. Nothing interesting here. Nothing interesting here. Alright, let's go back out. Boop. Porter Lamb at your service. The elders told me that you'd be coming. They tell you what happened to Tong? Just the basics. Well, nothing's basic about this. I've seen people shot, stabbed, and beaten to death. Hell, I've even seen a corpse that was so dry and desiccated I could have sworn a vampire got to it. None of that's got anything on this. Brace yourselves and go on in. Tong's Sensory Carnival looks like a scene out of a B-grade slasher sim. The cloying scent of incense hangs thick and pungent in the air, emanating from the small shrine in the corner of the shop. Unfortunately, it does nothing to cover up the reek of death and clotted blood. Despite the ragged remnants of Elder Tong littering the floor, the rest of the shop appears to be in good order, at least at first glance. Nothing is broken, tipped over, or otherwise ransacked. As you're about to step further into the room, you glance at the ceiling and walls. The blood from Tong's body isn't just confined to where his remains lie. Drying blood is spread about the walls and ceiling as well. Lovely. Tong's body is a ruined mess. The destroyed ruin of his face is barely recognizable, and what is left of his body would be best described as savage. All of his limbs have been torn off, and a pile of flayed skin lies next to the remnants of the Whampoan elder. The Whampoan's clothing has all but been reduced to rags and tissue by cuts and tears, apparently sustained during the flaying. At this point, the only thing holding what's left of his body into a semblance of human form is the hair-thin fiber optics of his cyberware. Gobbet puts a hand over her mouth, speaking in an uncharacteristically serious tone. Sweet heavens, Karis, I haven't seen anything like that since Auntie Wong tried to stash some cred sticks in a devil rat's nest. It takes a lot to turn my stomach, but we sure have a winner today. This is seriously messed up. Curious. The removal of the skin speaks to a deliberate pathology, some manner of serial killer, but the severed limbs seem much more savage. You have to be very strong to tear those off. Ractor gestures at the body impassively. Look, parts of him are missing. That's very curious. Have Ractor examine the body in detail. Ractor takes his time examining the body, taking small notes on his PDA. Curious. No subdermal bruising where the skin's been removed. No sign of struggle. Coagulation of blood and lividity marks the time of death of between 2 and 4 hours ago. The knife marks are methodical. The killer doesn't seem to have been interested in preserving the skin as any kind of whole. It was removed a bit like one fillets a fish, the path of least resistance. Some of the strips of skin have a more ragged edge than others. The ragged edge looks like consistent with a claw rather than a blade. Ractor makes a curious noise as he examines the remnants of Tong's face and neck. His neck's been severed between the 5th and 6th cervical vertebrae. Scoring across the bone indicates a bladed weapon, and a sharp one at that. Doesn't match any of the other wounds. Ractor stands and looks you directly in the eye. If I had to guess, I would say he was killed with a blow to the back of the neck. Everything else was subsequent damage. Why would someone kill him and then skin him? Honestly, I have no idea. Perhaps whatever did the rest of the damage was secondary. An action of opportunity or the like. Without further information, I'm not comfortable in guessing. Let's have Gobbet assess the body. You're the boss. Man, this is going to be unpleasant. Gobbet closes her eyes, taking a deep breath. After a moment, she opens them again and makes a strange grunting noise. There's no fear here, Karis. No anger either. Just this kind of satisfied feeling. Never saw it coming, and whoever did it was professional about it, which is pretty odd, because nobody's professional about eviscerating a body as far as I know. You think it was a hit? I don't know why the killer was after Tong, but it definitely wasn't any kind of mindless creature or even someone particularly passionate. It was somebody who planned this and executed it and was glad about it. I don't know, it kind of feels like it was just business as usual. Let's look at the bloody wall. The walls are covered in splattered and smeared blood, most of which is hardened into a crusty, congealed paste. Thick tracks of it run laterally. It looks like the blood has been deliberately smeared. Those blood patterns aren't natural, Caddis. The smearing here wasn't done by Tong. There's too much blood. The killer must have spread the blood across the walls deliberately. Why the hell would they do that? Perhaps they're like many serial killers. They see their actions as a ritual or as a work of art, and the victim's body was the medium in which they were working. Or maybe they're just crazy. Man, I've seen a lot of crazy people in my life, but I've never seen anybody crazy enough to think they were going to make a Mona Lisa out of somebody's teeth and guts. Thank the heavens for that, too. Boop. Tong's desk drawers are open, and the safe that's built into one side has been opened. There's no sign of tampering, and the green light next to the word unlocked is blinking. Whoever opened the safe did it with a key fob. Inside are several blank cred sticks with no sign of any money on them. Looks like someone looted his stash. A guy like this wouldn't keep only empty cred sticks in his safe. Search the bathroom. Tong's bathroom is immaculate, and the drains are tiny. Whatever killed him didn't exit through here. SimSense editor. This is a Yamaha 95000V SimSynth, a device for mixing and mastering SimSense chips. Several drive bays are empty and all the chip jacks are empty. The screen is flashing a repeated error message. Warning, requested files cannot be found. Please return drives to bay and try again. Have Isabel debug it. Isabel rattles out some commands on the SimSense keyboard, stepping away for a few seconds with a look of satisfaction on her face. There, I put the drive warning on suspend. It's in a diagnostic mode only, though. Maybe we'll learn something, maybe not. Memory, okay. Drive, error, assist bust. Okay, beginning core dump, please wait. Isabel studies the screen in detail as letters and numbers scroll by. Looks like Kong was cooking some BTLs here. He's hacked the peak controller output cutoffs. The delta levels on sim chips are usually about 4 to 5, 6.5 for Cal Hots. His delta peaks are pushing 12. That's brain-burning territory, Karis, and all the drives and chips those BTLs were stored on are missing. I never liked Tong, but it wasn't because he was a bad guy. I just didn't like any of the elders. But if he was cooking chips at Delta 12, maybe he burned somebody he shouldn't have. Maybe they flipped their lid and came after him, or a relative did. Isabel gives you a serious look, tipping her head at the synth. The metahuman brain can't handle this kind of output. It'll shut down after a few of these. No, there's nothing else in here to look at. What do you do around here, Porter? It's a catch-all category, I guess. I work for Elder Ip. It's a bit like being a deputy. I make sure people don't break the rules. Protect people who need protecting. Mostly just do whatever Ip asks me to. It's a pretty quiet job most days. Today is not one of those days. I also handle a lot of maintenance. I don't actually do the repairs, but I've got most of the keys. It makes it easy to ensure only authorized people get into sensitive places. Electricity goes down, I let in the electrician who fixes the wiring. Wiring clogged, I let in the drone guy who opens it back up. It looks like somebody went through Tong's things. Has anyone else been inside? Not since I've been here, but before Ip found him, could have been anybody, really. Ip had a key to his place, but the lock's total crap. Anybody half-decent at cracking maglocks could have gotten inside. What's missing? His BTLs, hard drives, and cred sticks are all missing. Sounds like the killer looted his place to me. All this talk of monsters. Yeah, sure, there are scary things that go bump in the night, but most of the scary bumps I hear from handguns and gangers. See you later. Hello, Zippy. This orc is busy snacking on a steamed bun. As you approach, he wipes off one of his hands and sticks it out toward you. Hey, stranger, nice to see you. Zippy toe tag at your service. How are you liking Whampoa Garden? You're awfully friendly. You don't even know me. We've never met before this, but I know exactly who you are. You're my replacement. The elders had me autopsy what was left of Elder Gan and Elder Nakamura after they got ripped apart, but I didn't want to dig any deeper. So since I don't know you, and I could smell a Shadowrunner a mile away, you've got to be the outsider of the ass to stop the killings, right? Zippy tilts his head back, obviously pleased at his amateur deduction. Very astute, that's right. See, I have good eyes. A lot of good eyes, actually, if you're in the market for replacements. Only slightly used, and they only come from certified donors, I swear. A hearty belly laugh erupts from the orc, and he slaps one of his thighs in elation. Man, I killed myself. That was awful. Zippy shrugs, grinning wide. I know, I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but all my jokes are terrible. So if you're not a comedian, what are you? I'm one of the only trained surgeons around here. I keep the other Whampoans healthy, gotta practice down the road. Blind Chen's a pretty good cyber doc, but he's basically an implant specialist and that's it. You don't seem much like a doctor to me. I did my residency back in the UCAS. Could have become a real MD too if things hadn't gone south for unrelated reasons. Zippy opens his coat, revealing a cyber deck. He pats it proudly. I also deck a little, but I'm better at slicing skin than ice. Whampoa Garden seemed a good fit for me. So it's fairly peaceful around here. For the most part, other than these killings, we don't have much by the way of problems. We do information security for the Triads, and that makes us fairly impervious to anyone who wants to start trouble. Anyone starts something, we hit them in the Matrix, while our Triad friends hit them in the meat space. Some small-time gangs have tried pushing in here before, but they backed off when they figured out they weren't just picking a fight with the Tang and his guys, but with both the Red Dragon and Yellow Lotus. They got the message real quick. What was left of them, anyway. You must have a lot of customers. That's the chip truth. I have to charge to cover my costs and eat, but it's damn near free service. There's always a waiting list, but it's good, honest work. I like helping my neighbors in the community. We all look out for each other. Sometimes somebody messes with one of us, they mess with all of us. That kind of community is rare as gold these days. How many places have an ethos like us? Not the damn corpse, that's for sure. I've lived a lot of places, done my fair share of shadowrunning, but this place is special. It's been a long time since I really felt like anywhere was a real home. Zippy looks off past you, towards the Whampoa garden streets. His expression grows wistful, like he's remembering something from a long time ago. I'm sure I'll move again, but not for a while. I'm not done with this city or these people. Let me ask you about Whampoa Garden. Sure, what do you want to know? What are your thoughts on these murders? There's a sharp intake of breath as Zippy shakes his head. Pretty gruesome business. Gan died from a broken neck. Looked like someone had wrenched it around and his arms or legs were cut off. Some skin flayed away too. Nakamura had his throat ripped out by someone with pretty sharp teeth. At first I thought it was a devil rat, but the teeth marks were all from something with a humanoid jaw. I didn't look at Yatunde. From what I saw at distance, it was the same story. Didn't seem much point since I'd already seen twice already. As for Tong, from what the porter told me, it was Gan and Nakamura all over again. You take a look at him yet? Yes, same as you described for the others. Zippy shakes his head sadly. Damn, I like Tong. The BTL business is unsavory, but the man had to eat, and his regular sims are great. Generally all around nice guy, friendly with everyone, never had anyone mad at him. There ain't no justice, let me tell you. It looks like Tom was killed by a blade, not a broken neck or a bite. Zippy recoils, shuddering against the rain. What kind of blade? Was it a knife? A sword? Maybe an axe? I don't know, but he was attacked at the back of the neck. I don't like that at all. Zippy shivers, looking warily around. This whole affair's got me on edge. People dying is nothing new, but the flayed skin? Ugh. After a moment, Zippy composes himself and looks back to you. It sounds possible that whoever's been killing the elders is trying to muddy the waters with all the blood and gore business. This is the crime of an intelligent, careful killer. Be careful. This investigation might take you somewhere very unpleasant. What can you tell me about the elders? Zippy laughs, shrugging. Well, they're an eclectic bunch, that's for sure. Where to start? Nia's the spiritual leader here. She's the voice of the Whampoans, I guess. A lot of her close friends are really more followers, since she's something of a priest for the machine spirits. Maybe it's a cultural thing for people who grew up here, but it never called to me. Still, she makes a damn fine pot of tea. Ips the muscle has an encyclopedic knowledge of cyber and bioware. Definitely a good guy to have watching your back. Not too friendly, but you know how it is. You get a lot of cyber, people start wondering if you tie your arms off. Zippy makes a chopping gesture with his hand. He's got moves straight out of Blood Carnival 3, The Reckoning. Terrible movie, but great fight choreography. What about Tang? I don't know much about him, but I think he's got some kind of fetish for automation. Found him cooing over some trids with automated delivery drones in a warehouse once. He works with drones, has a shop called the Blessed Autofab. He is raving about the efficiency of the movement patterns or something. You already know about Tong, ran sims, BTLs, skill ships. Gan used to be a city planner before he had a nervous breakdown and got involved in statistical analysis. Zippy pauses to collect his thoughts. Nakamura came from Fukuoka and was interested in entertainment, trade mostly, spent a lot of time analyzing subliminals and ads. Then there was Magpie. She was the chief decker, hot as hell against ice and built her own hardware. Salty old woman, though, never met anyone who was quite as shrill or nasty when she was mad, and she was mad most of the time. Wait, nobody mentioned Magpie to me. When did she die? She didn't. Maybe a month ago, she just up and disappeared. I went to her shop one day and she just wasn't open. Nobody's seen her since. Kind of a pain in the ass, too. She owed me some new analyze software she'd picked up. I'd never heard of Magpie either. She must be one of the newer Whampoans. If she was the Decker, she would have replaced Elder Gao. No surprise there. Gao was older than Kin Shakhandi's terracotta warriors. When I was learning decking from him, he could barely get out of bed. So fast as hell in the Matrix, though. How can you be new and an elder? Isabel rolls her eyes. It's a stupid name. It doesn't actually have much to do with time spent in the community. That has something to do with it, sure, but it's mostly about how skilled you are, how good your connections are, and how much you can help everybody else. Should have called them experts or something. Bingo, that's exactly it. She was only here for about 3 years, but she knew a lot of people all over the Matrix, in Shanghai, in Beijing, all kinds of places. That plus her skill meant she was a shoo-in when Gao died. Where do you think she went? No idea. One day she was here, the next, poof. At first I thought she was just on vacation, since she had mentioned wanting to see the Kingdom of Hawaii someday, but it didn't feel right. She would have at least told me she was leaving. It seemed mighty suspicious to me. Nobody else seems to care what happened to her, probably because she pissed them off so bad. A little odd for her to just disappear, don't you think? Of course it's odd. She owed me lunch too, and she was the sort who paid her debts promptly. You might want to check out her shop. It's all locked up, but the older elders have a spare key. Couldn't hurt to look around, and even though Magpie was always butting heads with the other elders, they wouldn't have any reason not to let you in. What did they argue about? Magpie and the others never saw eye to eye. She was contrary for the sake of it. Most of the rest had a grand vision for what they wanted this neighborhood to become. Magpie just wanted to deck. She was only an elder because they needed somebody with her matrix chops. The last big argument was between her, New, Ip, and Nakamura. It was over something relatively trivial. I think Nakamura wanted to expand the pirate trade business into the matrix, and she just absolutely refused. She sounds like she didn't care for entertainment taking precedence over business. That's exactly it. She gave Nakamura an earful, let me tell you. She said something about not using up valuable bandwidth for trivial entertainment bullshit. Anyway, it went from there into this rant about how she wasn't going to let Tang expand his drone business any further because it would get too much megacorp attention. They accused her of blocking them just because she could, which is probably true. Lots of screaming. What do you mean blocking them? Everybody needs her matrix skill for their businesses to run properly. There are other Deckers, me, say, or Mo Niebi, but she had the infrastructure. If the project didn't interest her, she wouldn't give them the time of day. She's a real hard head about having her time wasted, but she figures if she's not interested in something, it has no value objectively. Kind of a major blind spot if you ask me. Sounds like she was critical. Yes and no. She was, but since she disappeared, Elder Ip's taken over running the Matrix infrastructure. He's not as good as it with she was, but his experience with drones makes him the best candidate. They wouldn't entrust something like that to anyone who wasn't an elder, so there you go. See you later, Zippy. Alright, let's go back. Wait, no, wouldn't he have the keys? What can you tell me about Elder Magpie? The Whampoan snarked, shrugging his shoulders. That she was a bitch? That I've never met anyone as deliberately contrary as her? There's not much to say. Nobody wanted to hang out with Magpie. Even though she was the newest elder, she acted high and mighty around everyone. She'd block deals and argue against Nakamura and Nye just because she could. Why was she so contrary? It was just her nature. She loved fights and gossip. Any chance to cut somebody else down, she'd take it. I guess I always figured she had some deep-seated insecurities and covered it up by attacking other people. Oh. I guess he doesn't have the keys.